After in fear, as suddenly a pulse of energy would burst, sending him flying against the wall, breaking it. As he gets up from beneath, pushing off some of the rocks that fell on top of him, he looked up to see goblins crawling out of the portal. As suddenly a spear shot past his head, lodging itself into the wall. What the hell? Demonic chuckling could be heard from the portal. As suddenly, a ginormous green beast with tusks like a boar stepped out of the portal. Laved in armors with a necklace made of bone. Who's that door? Find the king and bring me his head. The troll spoke deeply, his voice bellowing. Izuku looked. He looked in fear as he spoke, shaking. The king? Who are you? Kill the human. No! The orc roared as the goblins would begin, as a horde of goblins would swarm out of the portal, barreling towards Izuku. As suddenly, a powerful blast of air roared through the underpass, eviscerating the goblins. And suddenly, Izuku heard a deep, heroic, energetic voice. I am here, so fret no longer. Before then, the orc's head exploded. As the towering stature of All Might stood before Izuku, Izuku would sit there, shocked and amazed, as suddenly fire bellowed from the portal. As suddenly an orc with a cloak appeared outside the portal next to Izuku. As Izuku looked up in fear, trembling. Before he could even murmur a word, he could hear the beast chanting, "Ruin of Titanus." As suddenly mana would begin gathering, but before the spell could finish, All Might would appear, punching the beast in its head, blowing its upper torso off. As suddenly hundreds of goblins would begin bursting from the portal, flooding the underpass. Do not fret, young man. I am here and I will end them quickly. Detroit! Smash! As he thrust his fist forward, empowering it with mana, as a blast so powerful it shook the ground, would barrel through the street, the little underpass, killing every monster there as the portal vanished, closing in on itself. As All Might stood there, Izuku would be shaking in fear and excitement. You're All Might. You're my hero. You're my favorite hero. I know everything there is to know about you. Your quirk, what S rank, what tier you are when you first awaken, your powers. Now, young man, calm down. Can you send my notebook, please? Now I must get going, young man, for I have many things I need to do, many dungeons I need to be cleared, and many lives I need to be saved. Stay safe. And remember, take care of yourself and others. As All Might dashed into the air, destroying the ground beneath him, as a cloud of smoke left little Izuku wondering what the fuck just happened. As All Might flew through the air at Mach speeds before hearing screaming, but not from the ground, but from his leg. As he looked down, he saw Izuku latched on. What are you doing, young man? I have a question! Izuku yelled as All Might smashed down onto a building. Izuku would hop off his leg as All Might would stand there angrily, scolding Izuku. Young man, you could have been severely injured while flying. We were well over 400 feet over the ground. You could have died if you fell. I'm sorry, but I have a question I want to ask you. What is it? Could someone who's quirkless, who has no potential to be a hero, to be a hunter, ever aspire to become a hero? As All Might snickered and chuckled. Of course not! Being a hunter and being a hero is far too dangerous. Especially if thou have no potential to be a hunter. Yes, of course, quirkless people can awaken too. But it's rare for someone to awaken. Yes, a majority of awakened beings are quirkless people, but still. About 5 in every 10,000 quirkless people become awakened. Every single month. Only a majority of those are A rank or D rank, C rank, E rank. But those who aren't even born with powers, quirkless and powerless, never. They're too weak, they're too pathetic, they're too frail, they won't be able to survive. There's a reason it's for heroes and hunters exclusively. Because a hunter can survive. So can a hero. But on the other hand, a quirkless nobody with no powers can't survive. So to answer your question, no, young man. Someone without a power, without potential, shouldn't even step near the life of a hunter or the life of a hero. Because that's just suicide. Now then, I want you to find yourself a ride home and find your parents. Get home safely. Now I have things I need to do. Do not do something like that. Again, it is dangerous. As Izuku sat there, clenching his fist. As tears began to swell up in his eyes, he clenched his fist in anger and sadness. Yeah, well, I'll show you. I'll show you and Katsuki. As Izuku grabbed his notebook, tearing out the pages of All Might, ripping them apart, letting them go as they flew in the wind. I'll show all of you. As Izuku went home that day, angered and saddened. But we jump to another character, Katsuki Bakugo. Well, rewind. As Izuku walked home, he'd see explosions in the distance. Screams. As he ran towards them, he would see a dungeon break occurring. But at the same time, a sludge villain attacking civilians. A slime, my bad, not a sludge villain. As sometimes villains aren't even the greatest threat in this world. Dungeons are. But amongst the chaos, Deku spot one face, one man. Katsuki Bakugo being pinned down by an orc, about to have his head squished, as Bakugo cried, "Get off of me, no, no, no!" Before then, the orc's arm would explode off of its body as the blade swirled in the air, stabbing down next to Katsuki. As he fought to stand, he looked up to see All Might. "Are you okay, young man?" "It's All Might!" "Yeah, I'm okay now. Thanks to you, of course." "Well then, get safe, young man. I will deal with this." "I'm a hunter too. I'm an A rank. I have a quirk. I can help you." "Please, you're inexperienced. Go now." All Might jumped forward to tame the dungeon, as Bakugo saw a group of people about to be killed by goblins, as Bakugo would run, saying, "Stop that!" Putting his palms together, charging up a fireball explosion, blasting it towards the goblin, similar to a Big Bang attack from Vegeta. But it has more of a beam-like effect, not an orb. As it barreled forward, destroying the goblins, ripping them apart. As the family thanked Bakugo, they'd run. All Might would see this, smirking, as Bakugo would assist All Might in containing the dungeon break. As after about 15 minutes, the dungeon break would have been contained and dealt with. My young man, I must say that was truly impressive of you. How about this? In 3 hours, I will come to you with an offer that I know for certain you will accept. Make your way home, and I will just take the blame for this, don't worry. I don't want you getting in trouble for assisting in a dungeon break. All right. As Deku sat there in amazement, anger, and joy, witnessing the person he, quote-unquote, used to idolize, doing his job, but he could tell it was just a facade. He was only doing it for the likes, for the fame. As Izuku walked home that very same day, as the camera pans off to Bakugo, standing in front of All Might. "Eat my hair. I'm offering you one in a million chance, young one. I possess a quirk known as One for All. It has been passed down through generations of heroes. And I'm offering you, Katsuki Bakugo, the opportunity to become my successor and wield my power." "Of course." Now for this next question. Are you prepared to do whatever it takes to bear my quirk? Yes, anything for your quirk. "Eat my hair." What? To transfer my quirk, you must either use material, DNA, English. You son of a bitch. As Bakugo reluctantly ate All Might's hair, coughing. Nothing happened. As out of nowhere, a massive pulse of power could be felt throughout Katsuki's body as his hair floated. As Izuku returned home, saddened and angered. As the next day would come around, Izuku sat in class with his hoodie on. Bakugo kicked open the door triumphantly, laughing. I'm better than all you nerds and losers. Yesterday, I helped All Might stop a dungeon break. Well, it's impressive, Katsuki. Please, sit down. I have a class to teach. Fine. As Bakugo sat down, looking at Izuku. You fucking loser. I'm gonna kill you, he whispers to Izuku silently. Today, class, he'll be reviewing job opportunities in the srry site. As he threw the papers into the air. Instead of doing that boring, stupid activity, we will be discussing school openings. As you know, most of you have picked a high school or college that you wish to graduate to, that you wish to go to after you graduate your senior year. Well, of course, when you go to these schools, it'll still count as your senior year. It'll just finishing up. But we have two students choosing to go to UA. A very likely one and a definitely not making it one. Anyway. Side character, going, side character, going, side character. 15 minutes later, he'd pull a paper, smiling proudly. Our proud student and prize pupil, Katsuki Bakugo, has chosen to go to UA. Of course Bakugo's gonna get it. I mean, he's an A rank with that powerful quirk. A mage at that, he's definitely gonna make it. Of course he's gonna make it. The whole class would start whispering and murmuring as Bakugo stood up, punching his fist together. Damn right, I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna become the next #1 hero, and I'll be better than all of you losers. And of course, Izuku Midoriya has also chosen to go to UA, as the teacher would struggle to hide his laughter. As all then, the entire class would burst out laughing. The nobody? The quirkless, weak, hunterless bitch, deku, Katsuki said, laughing his ass off. Laughing so hard he actually fell off his desk. As he got up and went over to Izuku, smashing his hand on the desk, breaking it. You're an idiot, Deku. You're weak, you're pathetic, you're as frail as a stick. You're not making it into UA, just accept the facts, dude. You're weak, you're pathetic. You're not going anywhere anytime fucking soon. Best place you're gonna be going is a fucking graveyard. You're a nobody, you're a loser. You're pathetic! Bakugo yelled, smashing Izuku's desk. Just you wait till after the teacher leaves, Deku. Just you wait. As the class came to an end, the teacher would leave. Before Izuku would go, Izuku would walk towards the door, leaving. Before then, it would be blocked off by two very fat people, one of two of Deku's sorry for my stutter, Bakugo's posse. As Deku felt something grab his neck from behind, before getting yanked backwards, smashing against the window, breaking it. As he grabbed his head, now bleeding, he groaned in pain. Ow! As Bakugo would walk forward, cracking his knuckles, as an aura of mana would begin flowing around his body. You really think you're good enough, Bakugo? Deku, to be on the same standard as me? Bitch, I'm the king. And you're just a simple peasant. As Bakugo kicked Izuku in the chest, Izuku would cough up blood. As Deku would pick up Izuku, punching him in the face again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Putting his gut to his stomach, charging up a fireball, exploding it, destroying Izuku's shirt. As a hole left there, burn marks would scar Izuku's stomach. As Bakugo turned, throwing him to the front of the classroom, breaking the wall slightly. You really think you're irrelevant? You think you can survive in this world of predator and prey? You're weak. You're pathetic and you're sad. Let me show you what happens when the prey attempts to stand up to its predator. As... Hey, too close. As suddenly Bakugo would run forward, going to punch. As Izuku sorry, gotta breathe. Bakugo put out his hand. Seraph wing. As flames began spiraling and gathering at his palm, as he charged up an explosion, condensing it 100 times. As he shot it forward, it barreled through the classroom. As suddenly, the attack roared forward, before being blocked mysteriously. As suddenly, as though planned by God himself, something protected Izuku. As Izuku looked up in fear to see chains wrapped around him. As sudden, out of nowhere, a shadow would begin emerging from the ground beneath Izuku. As it stood there, Bakugo's eyes would widen in fear. As so would Izuku, as they would flash back 10 years earlier. You're the... As the shadow turned, placing its finger on Izuku's mouth in a hushing motion. Its eyes would begin to glow red. As the chains that formerly glowed a bright fluorescent blue, purple hue would begin to turn red. As the marks on its arm where the sort of armor sat would also become red. As chains would burst from the shadow, barreling toward Katsuki, grabbing him. As it pulled him forward, the shadow would grab Bakugo's face, smashing him into the ground.
As it picked him up, it gut punched him, breaking his rib as he puked blood flying backwards. As Izuku looked up, he'd see a window pop up before him.
You have been invited as a player. Do you accept?
As Izuku reached out his hand, clicking the accept button.
Player accepted. System recalibrating.
Brain fart. Yep, I remembered. Joys of having two phones. As his shadow would sit there, running towards Bakugo as he gut punched him again, punched him in the face, elbowed him in the head, launching him back. As the shadow picked up Izuku, jumping out of the broken window, vanishing, dashing, as in a matter of seconds they would have been far away from the school, in an alleyway. As the shadow stood there, its chains wrapping themselves around him, floating there. It would return back to its purple-bluish color. What the hell are you? Before Izuku could finish, he'd look down to see his wounds healed, the burn mark on his stomach gone. The bleeding on his head stopped. Izuku put his hand onto the shadow's chest. You're like... It's like touching a shadow. What's your name? Do you even have one? As the shadow nodded its head slowly, he stuck out one of his clawed fingers, walking towards the wall. Stabbing its claw in, as it would slowly start writing in anguish, carving something into the wall. Hold on. As it would carve out the name Sen Chineru. Sentinel? Yeah, I think that's what the name means. Your name's Sen Chineru? The shadow nodded, clapping its hands together happily. Huh. Amazing. You're so strong. You easily took out somebody like Bakugo. I wonder if I could summon more of you. Shinshiniru nodded its head slowly. I could? As he crossed his arms in an X, shaking his head at the same time. I can summon more, but not right now. I'm gonna call him Shin. Call him Sen for short. Well, I'll just call you Sen for short because it's a really long name. Is that okay? He nodded vigorously. He does not care. Well, can you come out whenever you want? He shook his head, but also nodded. But he put out his hand and kind of did like shook it like that when you do like a 50 fish, like when you do a thumbs up, like open palmed. Just shook his hand like kind of, but also can't. He can, but kind of can't. Every time you've come out, it's only been when I've had extreme emotional outbursts like fear or sense to be protected. Is there some... Wait, so are you saying... One second, Zero Squad. So I summon you. You don't summon yourself? The shadow clapped its hands, nodding. Sin clapped his hands. Hold on. Let me try to summon you. As Izuku put out his hands, closing his eyes, concentrating. Return. As Sen bowed as he slowly went back into Izuku's shadow. Okay, now return. Summon. Come back out. As Sen rose from the shadows again. But that's where I'm gonna leave off part 4. It's what if Izuku was the Shadow Monarch? Love you, Zero Squad. Have a good day. Goodbye.